What if I told you that 90 days from now, you could be living a completely different life? Not just a slightly better version of your current existence, but a fundamentally transformed reality where your morning routine, your bank account, your relationships, and your sense of self are all unrecognizable from where you stand today. I know what you're thinking. You've heard this before. Another self-help promise. Another guru claiming they have the secret. Another book that will end up gathering dust on your shelf while your life remains exactly the same. But here's what makes this different. I'm not going to promise you overnight success. I'm not going to tell you that you can manifest $1 million by thinking positive thoughts. And I'm certainly not going to pretend that transformation is easy. What I'm going to do is show you the exact system that has helped thousands of people rebuild their lives from absolute zero. People who were broke, broken, and beaten down by life. People who had lost everything and had to start over. People who discovered that rock bottom wasn't the end of their story. It was the foundation for their greatest comeback. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that 5 years ago, I was sleeping in my car with $17 to my name. Today, I run multiple businesses generating over $200,000 in monthly revenue. But more importantly, I wake up every morning with purpose, peace, and a profound sense of gratitude for the journey that brought me here. This transformation didn't happen because I got lucky. It didn't happen because someone handed me an opportunity. It happened because I discovered a systematic approach to rebuilding a life from the ground up, and I committed to it for 90 days. Why 90 days? Because that's the exact amount of time it takes for new neural pathways to solidify in your brain. It's the perfect window for habits to become automatic. It's long enough to see real results, but short enough that you can maintain intense focus without burning out. Think about it. 90 days ago, you were dealing with different problems, different fears, different limitations. Now imagine if 90 days ago, you had started implementing the system I'm about to share with you. Where would you be today? That's not a rhetorical question. I want you to really think about it. Because 90 days from now, you'll be asking yourself the same question about today. The only difference is whether you'll be grateful that you started, or regretful that you didn't. This audiobook is divided into 3 phases, each lasting 30 days. Phase 1 is about demolition and foundation, clearing out the wreckage of your old life and laying the groundwork for the new one. Phase 2 is about construction, building new habits, skills, and systems. Phase 3 is about acceleration, taking everything you've built and scaling it exponentially. Each phase builds on the previous one. You cannot skip ahead. You cannot cherry-pick the parts that sound easy and ignore the hard work. This is a complete system, and it only works if you work it completely. Before we begin, I need you to make a commitment. Not to me, to yourself. I need you to commit that for the next 90 days, you will show up every single day, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. Because here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. Motivation is garbage. It's unreliable, fleeting, and built on emotion. What you need isn't motivation. It's commitment. You need to decide right now that regardless of how you feel, you will execute the system for 90 consecutive days. Can you do that? Can you make that commitment? If you can't, close this audiobook right now. I'm serious. There's no point in continuing if you're not willing to do the work. You'll just end up disappointed, and I'll have wasted both of our time. But if you can make that commitment, if you're truly ready to transform your life from ground zero, then let's begin. The next 90 days will challenge you in ways you cannot imagine. You will want to quit. You will doubt yourself. You will face setbacks that make you question whether any of this is worth it. But I promise you this, if you stick with it, if you trust the process and execute the system, 90 days from now you will be a completely different person. And a year from now, you'll look back at this moment as the turning point that changed everything. Are you ready? Then let's go. Phase 1, Demolition and Foundation, Days 1 to 30. Chapter 1. The brutal truth: audit day 1 of your transformation starts with something most people avoid their entire lives: radical honesty. Right now, your life is a collection of lies. Not malicious lies, but comfortable ones. Stories you tell yourself to justify why things are the way they are. Excuses wrapped in reasonable-sounding explanations. Delusions disguised as dreams. The first step in rebuilding from ground zero is acknowledging where ground zero actually is. And that requires a brutal truth audit. Get a notebook. Not a digital one, an actual physical notebook. There's something about writing by hand that forces your brain to process information differently. It makes lying to yourself much harder. Now, I want you to answer these questions with complete honesty. No one will ever see these answers but you, so there's no point in sugarcoating anything. Question 1. How much money do you actually have right now? Not your potential income, not what you could make if things work out, not the money you're expecting. What's your actual liquid cash today? Write down the exact number. Question 2. How much debt are you carrying? Credit cards, student loans, personal loans, money borrowed from family. Add it all up. Don't round down. Don't conveniently forget about that $500 you owe your brother. Write the real number. Question 3. What does your typical day actually look like? Hour by hour, what do you do? How much time do you spend scrolling on your phone? Watching TV? In meaningless meetings? Being productive? Write it all down. Question 4. What is your current physical condition? Can you run a mile? 10 push-ups? Walk up 3 flights of stairs without getting winded? What's your actual weight? When was the last time you had a full medical checkup? Question 5. What's the state of your closest relationships? Your romantic partner, your family, your friends. Are these relationships nourishing you or draining you? Be honest. Some of the people closest to you might be the biggest obstacles to your transformation. Question 6. What do you actually believe about yourself? Deep down, beneath the confident social media posts and the positive affirmations, what's the story you're telling yourself about who you are and what you're capable of? These questions are uncomfortable. They're meant to be. Because you cannot rebuild something until you fully understand what's broken. Here's what I discovered during my own truth audit 5 years ago, sitting in that car with $17. I was 31 years old, $43,000 in debt, borderline obese, hadn't spoken to my family in over a year, and spent an average of 6 hours a day on social media while convinced I was too busy to work on my goals. The truth audit was devastating. I cried. I got angry. I wanted to blame everyone else for my situation. My ex-girlfriend who left me. My former business partner who screwed me over. My parents who didn't prepare me for the real world. The economy. The system. Anything and anyone but myself. But here's what the truth audit forces you to confront. Regardless of how you got here, you're here now. And the only person who can get you out is you. This realization is both terrifying and liberating. Terrifying because it means you can't wait for someone to rescue you. Liberating because it means you're not powerless. You're just untapped. After you complete your truth audit, I want you to do something that might seem counterintuitive. I want you to write down everything you're grateful for about your current situation. Yes, you read that right. Even if you're broke, alone, and lost, there are things to be grateful for. You're alive. You have access to this audiobook, which means you have some form of technology. You're capable of understanding complex ideas. You're not in prison. You're not terminally ill. You have 90 days ahead of you. This isn't toxic positivity. This is strategic mindset work. Because transformation doesn't start from a place of self-pity, it starts from a place of self-respect. And you cannot respect yourself while simultaneously believing you have nothing. You're starting from ground zero, but ground zero is still ground. It's a foundation. And foundations are where you build empires. Day one isn't about fixing anything. It's about seeing clearly. It's about acknowledging reality without judgment. It's about understanding that where you are right now isn't who you are, it's just where your previous decisions have led you. And starting today, you're making different decisions. Chapter 2. The Environment Purge Day 2 through 7 of your transformation is dedicated to one of the most important and overlooked aspects of personal change: environmental design. Here's a truth that most self-help books won't tell you. Willpower is finite. You only have so much of it, and it gets depleted throughout the day by every decision you make, every temptation you resist, every distraction you avoid. Successful people don't succeed because they have more willpower than you. They succeed because they design their environment to require less willpower. Think about it. If you're trying to eat healthy but your pantry is full of junk food, you're fighting a battle every single time you're hungry. If you're trying to focus on your goals but your phone is buzzing with notifications every 5 minutes, you're hemorrhaging attention constantly. The environment purge is about removing friction from good behaviors and adding friction to bad ones. It's about making success easier and failure harder. Let's start with your physical space. Look around you right now. What does your environment say about your priorities? Is your living space cluttered with reminders of your old life? Old photos, old clothes, old habits materialized as objects? I want you to spend the next week systematically removing everything from your environment that doesn't serve your transformation. This isn't about minimalism for the sake of aesthetics. This is about eliminating distractions and triggers. That exercise equipment you bought 3 years ago that's become a coat rack? Either use it or remove it. That collection of business books you've never read sitting on your shelf making you feel guilty? Donate them or read them. Starting today. Those clothes from when you were 20 pounds lighter or heavier. If they don't fit now, they need to go. But the environment purge goes beyond physical objects. It extends to your digital environment, your social environment, and your informational environment. Your phone is probably the biggest source of environmental sabotage in your life. The average person checks their phone over 200 times per day. That's 200 disruptions, 200 moments where your attention is hijacked, 200 opportunities to fall into the scroll hole and emerge an hour later having accomplished nothing. Here's what you're going to do. Delete every social media app from your phone. Not limit your time on them. Delete them. If you need social media for work, you can access it through a web browser, which adds just enough friction to make mindless scrolling less appealing. Turn off all notifications except for calls and texts from people you actually want to hear from. Not promotional texts from retailers. Not group chats full of memes. Actual important communications from actual important people. Rearrange your home screen so the first things you see are tools that serve your transformation. Your calendar, your fitness app, your meditation app, your financial tracking app, your audiobook player. Now let's talk about your social environment. This is where the purge gets really uncomfortable, because I'm going to ask you to evaluate the people in your life with the same brutal honesty you used in your truth audit. Jim Rohn famously said that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Look at your 5 closest relationships right now. Average their income, their health, their happiness, their ambition. That average is roughly where you are and where you're headed. If you're trying to build wealth and your closest friends think rich people are evil, you're fighting an uphill battle. If you're trying to get healthy and your closest friends consider salad a punishment, you're making it harder on yourself. If you're trying to build a business and your closest friends think entrepreneurship is too risky, you're surrounding yourself with dream killers. This doesn't mean you need to completely cut people out of your life. But it does mean you need to strategically reduce the amount of influence negative people have on you during these critical 90 days. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your time and energy, especially when you're trying to rebuild your life. It's not mean or selfish to create boundaries. It's necessary. During my own transformation, I had to distance myself from my entire friend group. These were people I'd known for over a decade. But every time I'd talk about my goals, they'd find ways to diminish them. Every time I'd make progress, they'd find ways to minimize it. Every time I'd need support, they'd be too busy with their own drama to show up. It hurt. It felt lonely. But it was necessary. And you know what I discovered? Once I started succeeding, once my transformation was undeniable, some of those people came back around. They were suddenly interested in what I was doing, suddenly asking for advice, suddenly proud to know me. But by then, I'd built a new circle. People who were already where I wanted to be. People who challenged me to grow instead of comforted me to stay the same. People who celebrated my wins without jealousy and supported my struggles without judgment. You need to do the same thing. During these 90 days, you need to intentionally seek out people who are already living the life you want to build. Join communities, attend events, engage in forums, find mentors. Even if these relationships are purely digital at first, they're infinitely more valuable than in-person relationships with people who pull you backwards. Finally, let's talk about your informational environment. What are you feeding your mind every day? What podcasts are you listening to? What shows are you watching? What news are you consuming? For the next 90 days, I want you to go on a strict information diet. No news. No political commentary. No celebrity gossip. No mindless entertainment. Nothing that doesn't directly contribute to your transformation. This isn't about being ignorant. This is about being focused. The world will keep spinning without your constant monitoring. Your transformation, however, requires your full attention. Instead, consume only information that educates, inspires, or challenges you. Audiobooks on business, psychology, health, whatever domain you're trying to transform. Podcasts with successful people sharing their strategies. Documentaries about achievement. Content that makes you think, not content that helps you zone out. By the end of week 1, your environment should be completely different. Your physical space should be clean, organized, and free of distractions. Your digital space should be optimized for focus. Your social space should be protected from negative influences. Your informational space should be nourishing your transformation instead of numbing you to it. This is the foundation. This is ground zero properly prepared for construction. And starting tomorrow, we begin building. Chapter 3. The Identity Shift Days 8 through 14 are about the most profound aspect of transformation. Changing who you believe you are. Most people approach change backwards. They think, I want to be successful, so I need to do successful things. But that's not how lasting transformation works. Behavior change that's purely action-based is exhausting and unsustainable. Real transformation happens when you shift your identity first. When you change who you are, your behaviors automatically align with that new identity. Let me explain. Right now, you have an identity. It might be, I'm someone who struggles with money, or I'm not a morning person, or I'm just not a disciplined person. These identity statements feel like facts about yourself, but they're actually just stories you've repeated enough times that they've solidified into beliefs. And here's the thing about identity. It's self-fulfilling. If you believe you're not a morning person, you'll hit snooze, you'll stay up late, you'll structure your life around this belief. Your behaviors will prove your identity right, which reinforces the identity, which drives more behaviors. It's a loop. The identity shift is about consciously choosing a new identity and then collecting evidence to support it. Let's say your old identity was, I'm broke. Every financial decision you made was filtered through that identity. You'd see an investment opportunity and think, that's not for people like me. You'd go to a nice restaurant and feel out of place. You'd watch successful people and feel fundamentally different from them. Your new identity needs to be, I'm someone who builds wealth. Notice I didn't say, I'm rich. You're not lying to yourself. But you are shifting your identity from someone who experiences poverty to someone who creates prosperity. With this new identity, your decisions automatically change. You see that same investment opportunity and think, this is exactly the kind of thing people like me do. You go to that nice restaurant and belong there. You watch successful people and see yourself in them. Here's the exercise for week 2. I want you to write out your new identity in detail. Not who you want to become someday, who you're choosing to be starting today. Write it in present tense. I am someone who. I am someone who takes care of my body. I am someone who shows up consistently. I am someone who solves problems instead of complaining about them. I am someone who invests in myself. I am someone who creates value for others. I am someone who honors my commitments. I am someone who turns setbacks into comebacks. These statements should feel slightly uncomfortable. They should stretch you, but they shouldn't feel completely unattainable. You're not writing, I am a billionaire, when you have $17. You're writing, I am someone who makes smart financial decisions. Once you've written your new identity, the next step is gathering evidence to support it. This is where the magic happens. Every day, you need to take at least one action that proves your new identity is real. These don't have to be huge actions. In fact, tiny actions are often more powerful because they're sustainable. If your new identity includes, I am someone who takes care of my body, then wake up and drink a glass of water before your coffee. Take a 10-minute walk. Do 5 push-ups. These micro-actions are evidence. They're proof that the identity you've chosen is real. And here's what happens. Your brain doesn't distinguish between big evidence and small evidence. It just counts instances. So if you do 5 push-ups every morning for 7 days, your brain has 7 data points saying, we are someone who exercises. That's identity formation in real time. Meanwhile, your old identity is starving. You're not feeding it anymore. You're not reinforcing it with behaviors that confirm it. And without reinforcement, it weakens. This is why the environment purge was so important. Every time you scrolled social media for hours, that was evidence for the identity. I am someone who wastes time. Every time you ate junk food, that was evidence for, I am someone who doesn't care about my health. Every time you hit snooze, that was evidence for, I am not a morning person. By removing these behaviors from your environment, you're removing the evidence that supported your old identity. And by adding new behaviors, you're building evidence for your new one. But here's the challenge. Your old identity won't go down without a fight. It's going to create what psychologists call cognitive dissonance. Your brain is going to feel uncomfortable with this new identity because it contradicts years of accumulated data about who you are. You're going to wake up early one morning and your brain is going to scream, this isn't who we are. We're not a morning person. You're going to be at the gym and your brain is going to say, this is ridiculous. We're not an athlete. Let's go home. This is normal. This is expected. This is part of the transformation. Your job during week 2 is to acknowledge these thoughts without obeying them. Notice them, name them, and choose your new identity anyway. I notice the thought that I'm not a morning person. That was my old identity. My new identity is someone who gets up when the alarm goes off. I notice the thought that I don't belong at the gym. That was my old identity. My new identity is someone who invests in their physical health. It sounds simple, almost too simple. But this is exactly how identity shift works. You're literally rewiring your brain, one choice at a time. By the end of week 2, you should have 14 days of evidence supporting your new identity. That's 14 data points your brain can reference when deciding who you are. That's momentum. That's the beginning of lasting transformation. But we're not done with foundation work yet. Next week, we tackle the system that will carry you through the next 83 days. Chapter 4. The non-negotiable daily system days 15 through 21 are about installing the operating system that will run your transformation on autopilot. Here's the problem with most people's approach to change. They rely on discipline, motivation, and willpower. These are important, but they're also exhaustible resources. What you need is a system so strong that it runs regardless of how you feel. Your transformation cannot depend on you waking up inspired every morning. Because some mornings, you're going to wake up tired, discouraged, and wondering why you're putting yourself through this. On those mornings, your system is what saves you. The non-negotiable daily system is exactly what it sounds like: a set of behaviors you execute every single day, regardless of circumstances, regardless of feelings, regardless of excuses. These are your non-negotiables. The foundation of your foundation. The things you do even when you don't want to, especially when you don't want to. Here's my personal non-negotiable daily system. This is what I've executed every single day for the past 5 years, including weekends, including holidays, including sick days, including the day I got married. Morning non-negotiables: 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. Wake up at 5 a.m. without snooze. Drink 16 ounces of water immediately. 10 minutes of meditation. 30 minutes of physical exercise. Healthy breakfast with 25 grams of protein. Review my daily goals and intentions. Read or listen to educational content for 30 minutes. Midday non-negotiables: 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Healthy lunch away from my desk. 10-minute walk outside. Review morning progress and adjust if needed. Evening non-negotiables: 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. A journal for 15 minutes about the day. Review wins and lessons learned. Plan tomorrow's priorities. No screens after 8:30 p.m. In bed by 9 p.m. Read fiction for 30 minutes. That's it. The non-negotiable daily system is exactly what it sounds like: a set of behaviors you execute every single day, regardless of circumstances, regardless of feelings, regardless of excuses. These are your non-negotiables. The foundation of your foundation. The things you do even when you don't want to, especially when you don't want to. Here's my personal non-negotiable daily system. Roughly 3 hours per day dedicated to maintaining the foundation of my transformation. The other 21 hours are for work, relationships, projects, and everything else life requires. Now, I'm not suggesting you copy my system exactly. Your non-negotiables should reflect your specific goals and circumstances. But there are certain elements that should be in everyone's system. Element 1. Morning momentum. You need to win the morning. The first hour of your day sets the tone for the next 23. If you wake up and immediately start reacting, checking messages, scrolling news, dealing with other people's agendas, you've lost control before you've even started. Your morning routine needs to be sacred. It needs to happen before you engage with the outside world. It needs to include movement to wake up your body, learning to engage your mind, and planning to focus your energy. Element 2. Consistent sleep schedule. You cannot transform your life if you're exhausted all the time. Sleep is not optional. It's not something you sacrifice for productivity. It's the foundation of everything else. You need 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep every night, which means you need a consistent bedtime and wake time, even on weekends. Your body doesn't care that it's Saturday. Circadian rhythms don't take days off. Element 3. Daily movement. Your body affects your mind more than you realize. Regular physical activity isn't just about fitness, it's about mental clarity, emotional regulation, and stress management. Your daily movement doesn't have to be intense. 30 minutes of walking is sufficient. The goal isn't to train for a marathon, unless that's your specific goal. The goal is to never let a day pass where your body is completely sedentary. Element 4. Nutrition fundamentals. You cannot outwork a terrible diet. You cannot transform your life while eating garbage. This doesn't mean you need to be perfect, but it does mean you need to have non-negotiable nutrition standards. For me, the standards are: hit my protein goal, 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, eat vegetables with at least 2 meals, drink half my body weight in ounces of water, avoid processed sugar Monday through Friday. Your standards might be different, but you need standards. And they need to be daily non-negotiables. Element 5. Progress documentation. What gets measured gets managed. You need a daily practice of reviewing your progress, celebrating your wins, and identifying your obstacles. This doesn't have to be elaborate. A simple journal entry answering 3 questions is enough. What went well today? What did I learn today? What will I do better tomorrow? This daily reflection creates awareness, which creates the ability to adjust, which creates continuous improvement. Now, here's the crucial part. These non-negotiables are not suggestions. They're not things you do when you feel like it or when you have time. They're the foundation of your transformation, which means they come first, always. Everything else in your life can be flexible. Your work schedule can adjust. Your social plans can change. Your entertainment can wait. But your non-negotiables are locked in stone. This is going to require sacrifice. You're going to miss some social events because they conflict with your bedtime. You're going to skip some opportunities because they interfere with your morning routine. You're going to disappoint some people who expect unlimited access to your time. This is the price of transformation. And it's a price successful people pay willingly because they understand the alternative is remaining stuck. During week 3, your sole focus is establishing your non-negotiable daily system and executing it flawlessly for 7 consecutive days. Not 6 days. Not pretty close. 7 perfect days. This week will reveal everything you need to know about your commitment level. Because if you can't stick to your system for 7 days when you're motivated and excited about your transformation, you definitely won't stick to it on day 57 when the novelty has worn off and life is testing you. But if you can lock in 7 perfect days, you'll discover something powerful. Consistency creates confidence. Every day you execute your system, you prove to yourself that you're becoming the person you decided to be. You're no longer someone who tries to change. You're someone who systematically transforms. By the end of week 3, you'll have 21 days of foundation work completed. You've done your truth audit. You've purged your environment. You've shifted your identity. You've installed your daily system. You are no longer at ground zero. You're standing on a solid foundation, ready to build. And that's exactly what we do in Phase 2. Phase 2, Construction, days 31 to 60, Chapter 5. The skill stack days 22 through 40 are dedicated to deliberately building the skills that will generate your transformation results. Here's a truth that will either inspire you or terrify you. Your current skill set has created your current life. If you want a different life, you need different skills. Think about it. If you're broke, it's likely because you lack skills in earning, managing, or investing money. If you're unhealthy, it's likely because you lack skills in nutrition, exercise, or stress management. If you're lonely, it's likely because you lack skills in communication, empathy, or vulnerability. This isn't a judgment. It's an observation. And it's actually good news, because skills can be learned. Your current limitations are not permanent features of who you are. They're just gaps in your knowledge and practice that can be filled. The skill stack is about identifying the 3 to 5 most valuable skills for your specific transformation and deliberately practicing them every single day for the next 30 days. Here's how you identify your critical skills. Look at where you want to be in 90 days. Then ask yourself, what would someone at that level be able to do that I currently cannot? If you want to be financially free, that person can probably budget effectively, negotiate their income, understand basic investing, and generate multiple income streams. Which of those can you do right now? The ones you can't do are your skill gaps. If you want to be physically fit, that person can probably prepare healthy meals, maintain a consistent workout routine, manage stress without emotional eating, and get quality sleep. Which of those can you do right now? The gap between where you are and where you want to be is filled with specific, learnable, practicable skills. Your job during days 22 through 40 is to systematically close those gaps. But here's the crucial thing. You're not trying to master everything at once. You're focusing on 3 to 5 skills maximum. Why? Because skill development requires concentrated effort. Scattered effort produces scattered results. Let me share my personal skill stack from my 90-day transformation 5 years ago. Skill 1. Sales and persuasion. I realized that regardless of what business I built, I needed to be able to sell. To sell products, to sell services, to sell myself in job interviews, to sell my ideas to investors. Everything in business comes down to the ability to persuade. Skill 2. Financial literacy. I was 31 years old and didn't know the difference between a stock and a bond. I didn't understand compound interest. I didn't know how to read a financial statement. This ignorance had kept me broke my entire adult life. Skill 3. Digital marketing. I recognize that in the modern economy, if you can't market online, you're invisible. I needed to understand social media, content creation, email marketing, and basic advertising. Skill 4. Discipline and consistency. This might seem like a weird skill to include, but I realized that my biggest weakness wasn't a lack of knowledge, it was a lack of follow-through. I needed to develop the ability to keep showing up even when I didn't feel like it. Those were my 4 skills. I didn't try to also learn programming, design, accounting, and public speaking. I focused on the 4 that would move the needle most dramatically on my specific transformation. And here's how I developed them. I dedicated 1 hour per day to deliberate skill practice. Not passive consumption, active practice. For sales, I read books on persuasion in the morning, and then I practiced by actually trying to sell things. I started with small stakes, selling items on Facebook Marketplace, offering services on Fiverr, just to develop the muscle. For financial literacy, I took online courses, read financial statements of public companies, and practiced creating budgets and investment plans with my non-existent money. I treated it like a game. If I had $10,000 right now, exactly where would I put it and why? For digital marketing, I started creating content. Every day, I posted something on social media, even though I had basically no followers. I experimented with different types of content, studied what got engagement, and learned by doing. For discipline and consistency, I tracked everything. I used a simple spreadsheet where I marked whether I completed my non-negotiables each day. Every day I executed perfectly. I got a green check. Every day I missed something. I got a red X. The goal was to see as many consecutive green checks as possible. This daily practice is what separates people who transform from people who just consume transformation content. Most people read books, listen to podcasts, watch videos, and think they're improving. But information without application is just entertainment. You need to practice deliberately, daily, with feedback and adjustment. Here's your assignment for the next 19 days. Choose your 3 to 5 critical skills. Then create a daily practice schedule for each one. Minimum 30 minutes per day per skill. If that sounds like a lot, remember, you're finding time by not scrolling social media, not watching TV, not engaging in all the time-wasting behaviors you eliminated during your environment purge. And here's the thing about focused skill development. You don't need to become a world-class expert to see dramatic results. You just need to become better than you were yesterday, every day for 30 days. Malcolm Gladwell popularized the idea that it takes 10,000 hours to master a skill. That's probably true for genuine mastery. But you don't need mastery to transform your life. You just need competence. 30 hours of focused practice, 1 hour per day for 30 days, is enough to go from complete novice to functional competence in most skills. That's enough to start generating results. And results generate motivation, which fuels more practice, which develops more skill, which generates better results. It's a virtuous cycle. By day 40, you'll have spent 19 days deliberately developing your critical skills. You won't be an expert yet, but you'll be substantially more capable than you were 3 weeks earlier. And that increased capability is what translates into real-world results. But skills alone aren't enough. You also need systems for applying those skills consistently, which is what we build next. Chapter 6. The income engine. Days 41 through 50 are the most practical, action-oriented phase of your transformation, building or optimizing your income engine. Let's be direct. You cannot fully transform your life while you're constantly stressed about money. Financial pressure distorts every decision you make. Keeps you stuck in survival mode when you need to be in growth mode. The income engine isn't about getting rich quick. It's about creating a reliable, scalable system for generating money so you can focus your energy on other aspects of your transformation. Here's the fundamental question. How are you currently generating income, and is that method sustainable and scalable? Most people trade time for money in a linear fashion. They work an hourly job or a salaried position where their income is directly capped by the number of hours they can work. There's nothing wrong with this as a starting point, but it's not a long-term wealth-building strategy. The income engine is about moving from linear income, time for money, to leveraged income, value for money, or even passive income, systems for money. Let me be clear. This doesn't happen overnight. You don't quit your job on day 41 and launch a business. But you do start building the infrastructure that will eventually replace or supplement your primary income source. Here are the 5 most accessible income engine models for someone starting from ground zero. Model 1. Optimized employment. If you're currently employed, the fastest way to increase your income is to become more valuable in your current role or negotiate better compensation. This requires developing the skills we discussed in the previous chapter, particularly sales, communication, and specialized technical skills relevant to your industry. It also requires strategic positioning, making sure your contributions are visible, documenting your wins, and confidently asking for what you're worth. Most people drastically underestimate their leverage in employment situations. They accept whatever salary is offered, never negotiate, and never ask for raises. Meanwhile, studies show that people who negotiate their initial salary earn over $500,000 more over their career than those who don't. Your task: research the market rate for your role, document your specific value contributions, and schedule a conversation with your manager about compensation adjustment. If you're underpaid and they won't adjust, start interviewing elsewhere. The fastest raise is often a job change. Model 2. Skill-based freelancing. If you've developed a valuable skill, writing, design, programming, marketing, consulting, you can start selling that skill as a service immediately. Platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, and Freelancer allow you to start offering services within hours of deciding to do so. The income might be small at first, $50 here, $100 there, but it's additional income that you didn't have before. More importantly, it's leveraged income. You're being paid for value delivered, not hours worked. As your skill improves and your reputation builds, you can charge more for the same effort. Your task: create a profile on at least 2 freelancing platforms, offer one specific service, and commit to completing at least 3 projects in the next 30 days, even if the initial pay is low. The goal is building momentum and proof of concept. Model 3. Digital products. If you have knowledge or expertise in any area, you can package it into a digital product, an ebook, a course, a template, a guide, and sell it repeatedly without additional effort. Digital products are the ultimate leveraged income because you create them once and sell them infinitely. The profit margins are nearly 100%, and the scalability is unlimited. The key is solving a specific problem for a specific audience. Generic products don't sell. Highly targeted products do. Your task: identify one problem you can solve for one specific group of people. Create a simple digital product, even just a PDF guide or a video course, that solves that problem. Price it between $20 and $100. Launch it on Gumroad or a similar platform. Even if you only sell 10 copies in the first month, that's $200 to $1,000 you didn't have before. Model 4. Content creation with monetization. If you're willing to show up consistently and provide value publicly, content creation can become a significant income source through ads, sponsorships, affiliate marketing, and audience building for your other offers. This is a longer-term play. It typically takes 6 to 12 months to build an audience substantial enough to generate meaningful income. But the compounding returns are enormous. Your task: choose one platform, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, a blog, commit to posting valuable content 3 times per week minimum, and focus entirely on providing value to your audience. Don't think about monetization yet. Just build attention and trust. Model 5. Investment income, long-term. This is the final form of the income engine. Money generating money without your active involvement. But it requires having money to invest first, which is why it's typically the last model you build. Still, you should be setting up the infrastructure now. Open a brokerage account. Start with whatever you can, even if it's just $50 per month into an index fund. The amount doesn't matter initially. What matters is establishing the behavior of consistent investing. Your task: automate a monthly investment of whatever amount you can genuinely afford without causing financial stress. If that's $25, fine. If that's $500, even better. The power is in the consistency and the compounding, not the initial amount. During days 41 through 50, your goal is to implement at least 2 of these income engine models. Not to perfect them, not to generate thousands of dollars immediately, but to establish the infrastructure and momentum. What you're building is optionality. Right now, you probably have one income source, which means you have no leverage and constant vulnerability. If you lose that job, you're in crisis. But if you have 2 or 3 income streams, even small ones, you have options. You have security. You have breathing room. And breathing room is what allows transformation to accelerate instead of stalling out due to financial panic. By day 50, you should have tangible evidence that your income engine is functional. Maybe you've completed your first freelance project. Maybe you've made your first digital product sale. Maybe you've posted 15 pieces of content on your chosen platform. Maybe you've negotiated a $3,000 raise. These early wins are critical because they prove that your skills can generate money. They shift your identity from someone who needs a job to survive to someone who creates value and gets compensated for it. That identity shift opens up possibilities you couldn't see before. And those possibilities are what we capitalize on in the final phase of your transformation. Chapter 7. The relationship audit and rebuild days 51 through 60 focus on something that often gets overlooked in transformation content: the quality of your relationships. Here's an uncomfortable truth. You cannot build an extraordinary life while surrounded by ordinary relationships. The people around you will either elevate you or limit you. There's no neutral. We touched on this during the environment purge, but now that you're halfway through your transformation, it's time to go deeper. You've been executing your non-negotiables for 50+ days. You've developed new skills. You've started building income streams. You're becoming a different person. And if you're becoming a different person, your relationships need to evolve accordingly. Some will naturally strengthen as you both grow. Some will naturally weaken as you outgrow them. And some will need to be intentionally ended because they're actively sabotaging your progress. The relationship audit asks you to categorize every significant relationship in your life into one of 4 groups. Group 1. Elevators. These are people who inspire you, challenge you, support your growth, and hold you to high standards. When you spend time with them, you leave feeling energized and motivated. They're not yes people. They'll call you out when you're off track, but they genuinely want you to succeed. Elevators are rare and precious. If you have even 2 or 3 people in this category, you're fortunate. Group 2. Mirrors. These are people who are on a similar trajectory to you. They're also working on themselves, also building something, also committed to growth. Time with them feels collaborative rather than competitive. You share resources, insights, and encouragement. Mirrors are your peers and partners in transformation. They remind you that you're not alone in this journey. Group 3. Anchors. These are people who drain your energy, create unnecessary drama, constantly need rescuing, or subtly undermine your progress. They might not be malicious, they might genuinely care about you, but the net effect of the relationship is negative. Anchors keep you stuck by creating constant crises that require your attention, by encouraging limiting beliefs, or by making you feel guilty for prioritizing your transformation. Group 4. Toxic. These are people who actively harm you, emotionally, financially, physically, or otherwise. They might be abusive, manipulative, exploitative, or simply so deeply dysfunctional that their presence in your life creates chaos. Toxic relationships need to be ended, period. No matter the history, no matter the obligation, no matter the guilt. Your transformation, your life, depends on removing toxicity. Here's your assignment. Make a list of the 20 people you interact with most frequently. This includes family, friends, colleagues, romantic partners. Then honestly categorize each person into one of these 4 groups. Now here's what you do with this information. 4 elevators. Increase access. Spend more time with these people. Ask them for mentorship, advice, accountability. Express gratitude for their presence in your life. Find ways to add value to them in return. 4 mirrors. Deepen the relationship. Share your struggles and wins. Collaborate on projects. Create accountability partnerships. These relationships can become some of the most valuable in your life. 4 anchors. Decrease access and set firm boundaries. You don't need to completely cut these people out, unless they refuse to respect boundaries. But you do need to dramatically limit how much they can pull on your time and energy. Learn to say no. Learn to end conversations that drain you. Learn to protect your transformation as the priority it is. 4 toxic. End the relationship. This is non-negotiable. I don't care if it's a family member, a lifelong friend, or a romantic partner. Toxic relationships will destroy your transformation and your life. You cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. This is where many people get stuck. They understand the principle, they even agree with the categories, but they can't execute because of guilt, obligation, or fear. Let me be direct. Every day you maintain a toxic relationship is a day you're choosing that relationship over your own well-being and future. That's not noble. It's self-destructive. You are not responsible for other people's emotional reactions to your boundaries. You are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. You are not required to remain small so that others feel comfortable. Your transformation will disturb people. Some will feel threatened by your growth because it highlights their stagnation. Some will try to sabotage you because your success challenges their excuses. Some will demand that you stay the same because your old role in the relationship served them. Let them be disturbed. Let them be threatened. Let them be uncomfortable. Their feelings about your transformation are not your responsibility. What is your responsibility is becoming the person you're capable of being. And that requires surrounding yourself with people who support that becoming, not people who resent it. Now, here's the other side of the relationship audit. Building new relationships that serve your transformation. If you've eliminated toxic people and set boundaries with anchors, you've created space. Now you need to intentionally fill that space with elevators and mirrors. This requires putting yourself in environments where these people congregate. Join masterminds. Attend industry conferences. Participate in online communities focused on your area of growth. Hire a coach or join a group coaching program. Find local meetups related to your goals. Yes, this often costs money. Yes, it requires time and effort. Yes, it's uncomfortable at first. But the return on investment is exponential. One conversation with the right person can change the trajectory of your entire life. One introduction can open doors you didn't even know existed. One relationship with someone 10 steps ahead of you can collapse your timeline by years. During days 51 through 60, your focus is executing this relationship audit and rebuild. By day 60, you should have identified and categorized all significant relationships in your life, set clear boundaries with or eliminated toxic and anchor relationships, increased time and energy investment in elevator and mirror relationships, joined at least one community where you can build new high-quality relationships, initiated at least 3 conversations with people who are where you want to be. This work is emotionally challenging. You might feel lonely during this phase as old relationships fade before new ones solidify. You might feel guilty about setting boundaries or ending relationships. But remember, you're not building a mediocre life. You're rebuilding from ground zero with the intention of creating something extraordinary. And extraordinary lives require extraordinary relationships. By day 60, you're 2/3 through your transformation. The foundation is built. The construction is well underway. Now it's time to accelerate. Phase 3, Acceleration, Days 61 to 90, Chapter 8. The momentum multiplier days 61 through 70 are about capitalizing on the momentum you've built over the past 2 months and multiplying your results exponentially. Here's what's happened so far. You've established your non-negotiables and executed them for 60 consecutive days. You've developed critical skills. You've built income streams. You've optimized your relationships. You've proven to yourself that you can change. But here's the secret that separates people who transform temporarily from people who transform permanently. The final 30 days are where you either lock in the transformation or you gradually slide back to baseline. The momentum multiplier is about deliberately accelerating your progress during this final phase so that your transformation becomes irreversible. Think about a rocket launch. Most of the fuel is spent in the first few minutes just to overcome gravity and reach escape velocity. But once you're beyond the atmosphere, once you're in orbit, maintaining momentum requires relatively little energy. You've spent 60 days overcoming the gravity of your old life, old habits, old beliefs, old relationships, old results. Now you're approaching escape velocity. The final 30 days are about using the momentum you've built to propel yourself into an entirely new orbit. Here's how we multiply momentum. Multiplier 1. Increase the intensity for the first 60 days. You focused on consistency. Showing up every day, executing your non-negotiables, building skills incrementally. Now that these behaviors are habits, we can increase intensity without risking burnout. If you are exercising 30 minutes per day, increase it to 45. If you are doing 1 hour of skill practice, increase it to 90 minutes. If you are creating 3 pieces of content per week, increase it to 5. The goal isn't to overwhelm yourself, it's to push just beyond your comfort zone now that you have 60 days of capacity built up. Multiplier 2. Increase the stakes. Comfort is the enemy of transformation. And by day 60, you've probably gotten comfortable with your new routine. It's time to get uncomfortable again. Volunteer for the project at work that scares you. Launch the offer you've been hesitating to promote. Have the difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Apply for the opportunity you think you're not ready for. You have 60 days of evidence that you're capable of more than you thought. Now act on that evidence. Take risks that would have paralyzed you on day 1 but that now feel challenging but doable. Multiplier 3. Increase the visibility for 60 days. You've been working in relative obscurity, quietly building, focused on your own transformation. Now it's time to go public. Share your journey. Document your progress. Teach what you've learned. Show people what's possible. This serves 2 purposes. First, public commitment increases accountability. When people are watching, you're less likely to quit. Second, visibility creates opportunities. The right people can't find you if they don't know you exist. Start posting about your transformation on social media. Write about your lessons. Make videos documenting your progress. Not to brag, but to inspire and to invite opportunities. Multiplier 4. Increase the investment by day 60. You should have generated some additional income from your income engine. Maybe it's an extra $500. Maybe it's $3,000. Whatever it is, you're going to reinvest a portion of it back into your transformation. Hire a coach. Take an advanced course. Buy better equipment for your business. Invest in your health with a nutritionist or personal trainer. Upgrade your environment to better support your new lifestyle. Successful people understand that strategic investment in yourself compounds. You're not spending money, you're buying acceleration. Multiplier 5. Increase the support system. Find an accountability partner or join a mastermind group. Surround yourself with people who are also in acceleration mode. The final 30 days are when your commitment will be most tested. You'll face obstacles, setbacks, and moments of doubt. Having a support system that reminds you why you started and holds you to your commitment is the difference between finishing strong and fading out. During days 61 through 70, Implement all 5 multipliers. Yes, it's going to be intense. Yes, it's going to feel like a lot. That's the point. You're not trying to maintain the status quo. You're trying to accelerate beyond it. And acceleration requires force. By day 70, you should feel stretched, challenged, maybe even a bit overwhelmed. That's how you know you're growing. That's how you know you're approaching the next level. And in the final 20 days, we solidify everything you've built into a permanent system. Chapter 9. The identity solidification days 71 through 80 are about ensuring that your transformation isn't temporary. It's who you are now. Remember the identity shift we discussed in Phase 1? We're revisiting it now, but from a position of strength. You're no longer trying to convince yourself that you're someone new. You have 70 days of evidence proving that you are someone new. The identity solidification is about consciously acknowledging and celebrating this transformation, and then anchoring it so deeply that regression becomes impossible. Here's what I want you to do. Write a letter to yourself. But not from present you to future you, from present you to past you. Write to the person you were on day 1. The person who was broken, lost, starting from ground zero. Tell them everything that's happened in the past 70 days. Tell them about the morning they didn't want to wake up but did anyway. Tell them about the first freelance client who paid them. Tell them about the toxic relationship they finally ended. Tell them about the skill they developed. Tell them about the 20 pounds they lost or the debt they paid off or the business they launched. Tell them that everything they feared wouldn't work actually worked. Tell them that the pain was temporary but the transformation was permanent. Tell them that they are capable of so much more than they ever imagined. This letter serves a specific psychological purpose. It cements your transformation by making it real and acknowledged. Your brain can't dismiss 70 days of documented evidence. It can't claim that nothing has changed when you have pages of proof that everything has changed. Read this letter out loud to yourself. Let yourself feel proud of what you've accomplished. Let yourself grieve for the person you had to leave behind to become who you are now. Let yourself acknowledge that you did something remarkable. Most people never allow themselves this moment. They keep chasing the next goal, the next level, the next achievement, without ever stopping to recognize how far they've come. And because they don't acknowledge their progress, they don't fully internalize it, which makes it easier to slide back. Not you. You're taking these 10 days to deeply solidify your new identity. Here are the questions to answer during this phase. Question 1. Who am I now that I wasn't 70 days ago? Be specific. Not I'm better, but I'm someone who honors my commitments. I'm someone who solves problems instead of complaining. I'm someone who creates value for others. Question 2. What beliefs have I proven wrong? 70 days ago, you believed certain things about yourself that limited you. I'm not disciplined. I'm not a morning person. I'm not someone who can earn good money. I'm not capable of transformation. Which of those beliefs have you definitively disproven? List them all. Celebrate each one as a victory over your old conditioning. Question 3. What would I never tolerate again? Now that you've tasted what's possible, what from your old life is completely unacceptable? Maybe it's staying in a job that doesn't value you. Maybe it's relationships that drain you. Maybe it's living without financial margin. Maybe it's being physically unhealthy. Name these deal breakers. They're your new non-negotiables, your boundaries, your standards. You've earned the right to have high standards because you've proven you can meet them. Question 4. What am I capable of that I didn't know 70 days ago? This is where you dream bigger. Because if you can transform this much in 70 days, what could you do in a year? In 5 years? In a decade? Your transformation isn't the ceiling. It's the floor. It's the new baseline from which all future growth occurs. Question 5. Who would I become if I executed another 90-day transformation immediately after this one? Don't stop at day 90. This isn't the end. It's the end of the beginning. You now have a system that works. You have proven strategies. You have evidence of your capability. What's the next transformation? Where do you go from here? By day 80, you should have complete clarity on your new identity. You're not the person who started this journey. That person no longer exists. They've been replaced by someone stronger, more capable, more disciplined, and more aligned with their potential. And now we spend the final 10 days ensuring this transformation lasts forever. Chapter 10. The Sustainability System Days 81 through 90 are about building the system that will maintain your transformation long after the initial 90 days are complete. Here's the harsh reality. Most people who transform temporarily do so because they approach transformation as a sprint. They give everything they have for a fixed period, achieve impressive results, and then collapse back to baseline because they didn't build sustainability into their approach. You're not going to make that mistake. The sustainability system is about designing a lifestyle that naturally maintains your transformation without requiring the same level of intensity as the initial 90 days. Think about it this way. The first 90 days are about proving what's possible. The rest of your life is about making it permanent. Here are the 5 pillars of sustainability. Pillar 1. The maintenance routine. Your non-negotiables from the first 90 days were probably aggressive. Early wake times, intensive skill practice, high output. For long-term sustainability, you need a maintenance version of this routine, something you can execute even during difficult seasons of life. For me, my intensive 90-day routine included waking at 5 a.m., 2 hours of focused work before breakfast, 90 minutes of skill practice, and multiple content creation sessions. My maintenance routine, which I've now executed for 5 years, is slightly less intense but still structured. Wake at 5:30 a.m., 1 hour of focused work before breakfast, 30 minutes of skill practice, and 1 content creation session daily. The maintenance routine should be approximately 60 to 70% as demanding as your intensive routine. Challenging enough to prevent backsliding, sustainable enough that you can maintain it indefinitely. Design your maintenance routine now, so you don't have to figure it out when the initial 90 days end. Pillar 2. The monthly review. You cannot maintain what you don't measure. Once per month, you need a structured review session where you evaluate your progress, identify obstacles, and adjust your approach. Schedule this review for the same day every month. Maybe the first Sunday or the last Friday. Treat it as an unmissable appointment with yourself. During the review, answer these questions. Did I execute my maintenance routine consistently this month? If not, why not? What were my biggest wins this month? What were my biggest obstacles this month? What do I need to do more of next month? What do I need to do less of next month? Am I still moving toward my goals, or have I plateaued? What one adjustment would create the most impact? This monthly review prevents the slow drift back to old patterns. It keeps you honest and aware. Pillar 3. The quarterly refresh. Every 3 months, you should execute a mini transformation. A week or 2 of increased intensity to break through plateaus and remind yourself what you're capable of. Maybe it's a week of waking at 5 a.m. again, even though your maintenance routine allows 5:30. Maybe it's doubling your skill practice for 10 days. Maybe it's launching a new project or eliminating a bad habit that's crept back in. These quarterly refreshes serve as course corrections. They prevent complacency and keep you growing. Pillar 4. The accountability network. Long-term transformation is nearly impossible alone. You need people who will check in on you, celebrate your wins, and call you out when you're slipping. Before day 90 ends, establish at least 2 accountability relationships. Ideally, these are people who are also committed to continuous growth and who understand the value of mutual accountability. Set a recurring weekly or bi-weekly call where you each share your progress, your challenges, and your commitments for the coming week. Make it structured, not just a casual chat, but a deliberate accountability session. Pillar 5. The non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. Some things from your initial 90 days need to remain completely non-negotiable, even in your maintenance phase. For me, these are daily exercise, 7 hours of sleep, healthy eating Monday through Friday, and no social media apps on my phone. These are the foundation beneath the foundation. They're the things that, if I let them slip, everything else starts to crumble. Identify your own non-negotiable non-negotiables. The 3 to 5 behaviors that must remain constant regardless of circumstances. During days 81 through 90, your focus is implementing the sustainability system so that day 91 doesn't feel like falling off a cliff. It feels like a seamless transition into your new permanent lifestyle. By day 90, you will have designed your maintenance routine, scheduled your monthly reviews for the next year, planned your quarterly refreshes for the next year, established your accountability relationships, identified your non-negotiable non-negotiables, and then something remarkable happens. Day 90 stops being the end and becomes just another day in your transformed life. Conclusion. The person you've become, if you're listening to this, you've reached day 90. Or perhaps you're listening before you begin, trying to understand what you're about to undertake. Either way, I want to share what happens next. Day 91 is the most dangerous day of your transformation. Not because it's difficult, because it's normal. For 90 days, you've been in transformation mode. Every day felt significant. Every choice felt consequential. There was intensity, focus, urgency. And then you wake up on day 91 and life continues. The dramatic background music stops. The sense of being on a mission fades slightly. And for many people, this is where they drift back to baseline. Don't let that be you. Remember, this wasn't a 90-day experiment. This was a 90-day foundation for the rest of your life. The person you were on day 1, that person is gone. They're not coming back unless you deliberately resurrect them. And why would you? That person was broken, stuck at ground zero with no clear path forward. The person you are now has proven they can rebuild from nothing. They've developed skills, created income, optimized relationships, and most importantly, they've demonstrated consistent capability to execute on their commitments. That's not temporary. That's permanent transformation. But it only stays permanent if you protect it. If you maintain your systems. If you stay connected to your accountability network. If you refuse to tolerate backsliding into old patterns. Here's what I want you to understand. Everything you achieved in the past 90 days is just the beginning. You've built the foundation and the first floor of a structure that can rise as high as you're willing to build. What you do in the next 90 days, and the 90 days after that, and the 90 days after that, that's what determines whether you built a transformation or a skyscraper. 5 years ago, I completed my first 90-day transformation. I went from sleeping in my car with $17 to running a functional business generating $12,000 per month. That would have been enough. I could have stopped there, maintained that level, and been grateful. But I didn't stop. I immediately started another 90-day cycle, focused on different goals. And then another. And another. Each cycle built on the previous one. The skills compounded. The income multiplied. The relationships deepened. The confidence expanded. Today, I'm operating at a level I couldn't have imagined on day 1 of that first transformation. Not because I'm special, not because I got lucky, but because I trusted the system and I kept going. You can do the same thing. You should do the same thing. Because here's the beautiful truth. Transformation isn't a destination. It's not something you achieve once and then maintain forever in stasis. Transformation is a lifestyle, a commitment to continuous growth, to never settling, to always asking, what's next? The person you've become over the past 90 days is remarkable. They've rebuilt themselves from ground zero. They've proven that change is possible, that discipline works, that systematic effort produces results. But that person is just the starting point for who you're about to become. So as you close out day 90, don't celebrate the end. Celebrate the beginning. The beginning of a life where you know with certainty that you can change anything that needs changing. Where you trust yourself to follow through on your commitments. Where you understand that ground zero isn't the end. It's the foundation. Thank you for trusting this process. Thank you for doing the work. Thank you for proving to yourself that transformation is possible. Now go build something extraordinary. The world is waiting for what you're about to become.